Good afternoon. I'm Tom Overton, publisher of the Advocate and Democrat, and
I'm Corbett Hollingsworth, sports editor of the Advocate and Democrat.
And we're here to give you our picks and preview of the SEC East. We're going to go top to bottom, 1 through 6, and let you know what we think. Corbett, let's get right to it. Number 6, get to the bottom of the barrel.
Number 6 has to be Vanderbilt. You know, year in, year out, they seem to be at the bottom of the conference, and for good reason. You know, they just can't seem to build a program there, and it doesn't look like they're going to be able to this year. You know, they didn't name a starting quarterback until Wednesday. They play on Thursday. That's never a good thing. Lost some good receivers, lost some good defensive players. I just don't see them doing much of anything this year.
Yeah, what he said, Vandy's not going to be very good this year, and that's okay with me. Next up, I'll tell you who I think is number 5. Number 5 is Kentucky. They lost everybody but Dickie Lyons Jr., and that's all that I have to say about that. They're not going to be a very good team either.
I'd have to agree with you on that. Number 5 would be Kentucky. They, as you said, they lost a lot of good players. Lost Andre Woodson, which I think will be the key to all that. You know, they don't have somebody who can manage the system that they're running there, and you know, flip-flopping quarterbacks. We don't know who it's going to be. That's got to make it tough on the offense. Defense looks to be shaky this year. I just don't expect much out of the Wildcats.
No, we're not going to see it either. Number 4. I'm going to let you go first with number 4. You can take the ball from me there.
Number 4, I have South Carolina. I just think there's way too much unknown about them. I just, you know, flip-flopping quarterbacks. Who knows how good Beecher's going to be? Who knows how good the defense is going to be after last year? At the end of the season, you know, you do have Brinkley back. You have Mutterland back, which are good players, but at the same time, just too many unknowns for me to pick them any higher.
Give me my football back. I'm going with Tennessee as number 4. The Vols, I think, are even more susceptible. They were horrible last year on defense, but they managed to win ball games. And that's what winning tradition does, and that's what winning coaches do. And Phil Fulmer knows how to do that. Jonathan Crompton, big unknown, but you got Montario Hardesty and you got Arian Foster who can really tote the load. It's going to be interesting what happens in the defensive line, and in the secondary looks great, but the linebackers, huge question mark there for the Vols. We'll have to see how Crompton does under pressure. So they're number 4. Number 3, I'm going to give you my number 3 team. I'm a homer, South Carolina Gamecocks. I think they're going to surprise some people this year. A lot of the ingredients are there, a lot of unknowns, no quarterback that we know of yet. Hopefully Tommy Beecher could come through for the Gamecocks, but they got a great defense. They're going to absolutely shock a lot of folks in the SEC. An upset pick, I'll give it to you right now. Number 1, Georgia, they're going down September 13th in Columbia. So your number 3 team.
My number 3 is kind of a shock. I'd pick Florida to finish 3rd. You know, they've had a lot of injuries pile up in the preseason, a lot of distractions. I just don't know if they can put it all together. You know, obviously Tim Tebow's a great quarterback. They've got some great talent around him. You know, now we get word that Percy Harvin might not even play in the Tennessee game, which would seriously hamper their chances. And as we all know, that, you know, the loser of that game really puts themselves behind the 8 ball. I just don't know if they're going to have the weapons this year. Their defense looked terrible against the terrible Michigan team in the bowl game last year, and I just don't see it improving much. Like I said, you know, they lost Cornelius Ingram, who's one of probably their most steady offensive player last year besides Tebow. I just don't expect much, or as much, from the Gators as everybody else is.
Okay. Number 2, we're going to go with the Georgia Bulldogs, number 2. They just have a brutal schedule. They've had problems on and off the field. Their offensive line is very suspect, and losing Sturdivant, and that gentleman's boy, yeah, he's gone for the year. That's not going to help anchor down a line that's kind of suspect. As always, they're going to have a great defense, and they've got no Sean Moreno. Matthew Stafford, you know, he's a serviceable quarterback, but I just don't see people pushing him for the Heisman. But the Dogs always have a solid defense, and you know, if Massaquoi shows up and has a year like he had 2 years ago, you know, they're going to be the Georgia Bulldogs, and they've got talent top to bottom. I just think their schedule is just way too tough, and they got to play some really hard games away from the friendly confines of Athens.
Well, I believe that Tennessee comes in at number 2. You know, like you said, there are a lot of unknowns, but that secondary is just such a great group of guys that, you know, a lot of Tennessee's problems last year were getting beat deep on passes. The passing game was what killed them. I just believe that improvement, you know, you have some good key guys up front in Bolden. Wes Brown looks to be one that'll be good. Robert Ayers. You know, I think they'll be a lot better than people think. The linebackers are a question, but Rico McCoy, my goodness, maybe the hardest hitter in the SEC. You know, he's always a firecracker. And then Crompton, you know, we've seen very little of him. One game he looked great against LSU, throwing 2 touchdown passes. But the next game he looked terrible against Arkansas. Who knows what will happen there? But I believe in the end that Tennessee will pull it out. And, you know, a couple losses in the conference, but that's nothing to be ashamed of this year. And I believe they'll finish second.
And that's a good solid pick too. Number 1, Florida. I know they said Percy Harvin, who's a big playmaker. I think he's going to be back. You know, they were a young team last year on defense, and they were very susceptible. But Urban Meyer, he's got Tim Tebow back, Heisman Trophy winner. You know, and he's got a loaded backfield coming back. His defense is a year older. They are a very talented team, and they've got a lot of tough games. They don't lead the state of Florida, but twice, I believe, in their schedule. Just think the Gators have a chance this year.
I'm going to go with everybody's preseason pick of Georgia. You know, regardless of the off-field problems, regardless of the injury problems, they're still a solid team. I mean, you know, they've got a great defense, always known for having great defense. Stafford, you know, while he's not, I believe he's not the greatest quarterbacks, he's still a good quarterback that can lead that offense. Anytime you got no Sean Marino on the backfield, that's nothing but positive. I just believe that you know, Georgia, they'll be able to handle all the preseason hype, all the preseason pressure, be able to come through and win the SEC championship, maybe even the national championship.
There you have it. That's our picks. By the way, don't forget to tune in tonight, 8 o'clock on ESPN, South Carolina, NC State. Go Gamecocks. Got my Lou Holtz lucky ball out here, so we're going to call at the end of the day. Thanks for tuning in to iTom. Have a great day.